It was near the end of September that the first season of the Fruits Basket remake ended. It doesn't even feel that long ago for me, but in reality, that was 7 months ago. Time really does fly by, huh? It's now the beginning of April and we are just a week away from the premiere of Season 2. A lot can happen in 7 months and our memories can really fade. So I don't blame you if you forgot some of the story. For an average viewer of this show, I kind of expect you to forget little details here and there. Things like who's cursed by what spirit or why Todu likes the cat in the Chinese zodiac so much are easily forgettable details. That is where I come in, my future/current subscriber. With my high knowledge over the Fruits Basket universe, I will give you a summary of everything that has happened over the course of the first season. Apologies in advance when I undoubtedly will pronounce some names wrong. I'm so sorry. While I recommend people watch this show, I understand people's lives are busy. So if you don't mind spoilers, let me introduce you to the remade universe of Fruits Basket 2019. No better place to start than the beginning. Let me reintroduce you to everybody's extremely selfless airhead Honda Todu. When we first meet her, she is living out in the harsh wilderness located near a certain family home. On her way to school one day, she stumbles into this family home and encounters the first of many Somas, this one being Shigure Soma. Soon she meets the school's celebrity Yuki Soma also at the house before running off to school. Little did she know this wouldn't be her last encounter with them. That night, as she returns to her tent in the woods, the two she met this morning walk right up. She explains that she is living in the woods because she didn't want to burden her grandfather while he was renovating his home. She then begs them to let her stay there until the renovations are complete. While at first denying their offer to stay with them, a landslide forces her to change her mind. The following morning, we meet the third Soma, being Kyo. We soon learn that Kyo and Yuki argue a lot. During one of their arguments, Todu feels that she must stop them. Unfortunately for her, she instead stumbles into all three Somas, revealing the Soma curse. She turns Yuki into a rat, Kyo into a cat, and Shigure into a dog. All three very adorable, I must add. The Soma curse's inner workings and mechanics are not really dug deep into during the first season. We just know the following effects. The curse is premature and affects its users right at birth. The user transforms into their respective animal when embraced by the opposite sex or exposed to extreme stress. Animals of the same type are attracted to the users as well. Finally, when transformed, a cloud erupts from said user. The mystery behind this curse is not explored further beyond this point. After Todu learns of this curse, she promises to Shigure and the others that she will keep her lips sealed. This doesn't stop Yuki from worrying that her memories will be erased by another Soma that has not been introduced yet. Kyo is then transferred to the same school that Todu and Yuki attend. Before, he was training in solitude instead of attending classes. From here, Todu and Yuki bond a little bit while the tension between Todu and Kyo become a bit strained. This is due to Kyo lashing out at Todu, causing both sides to freak out. To make it up to her, Kyo walks Todu home from her part-time job. During this walk, they have a little bonding moment where their relationship is mended, making them friends. Aww. From here, our little trio propel the story forward. Later on, we see Kyo and Yuki clash for their differences in the way they act at school. Kyo and Yuki are jealous of each other for two opposite reasons. They are foils to each other. Kyo is envious that whenever Yuki runs an operation, it will always run smoothly. On the other hand, Yuki is jealous that Kyo is able to interact with everybody so easily while he has so much trouble. This makes him feel even further alone. If Kyo is able to get along with everyone while being cursed with the same thing, Yuki must feel so excruciatingly lonely. Todu tries to encourage him as best as she can, but it'll be a long road before she makes any significant progress. Now begins the onslaught of the cursed Somas entering the story. First off, we have Kagura Soma arriving at Shigure's home to see Kyo. She seems like a shy girl at first, but once she sees Kyo, she promptly pummels him for making her worry. While Kagura converses with her so-called rival in Todu, she slips a bit, speaking of Kyo's true form before stopping her dead in her tracks. As the night goes on, Kagura's plan ends in ruin, causing her to run off. Todu chases after her to comfort her. Once they have some quality gal time, Kagura cheers up and heads back to the Soma house. From there, she and Todu cook together. As the night ends, Todu has a quality conversation with Kyo and sees for the first time something he is passionate about. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10 on the cute scale, I have to say. The next morning, as Kagura begins to leave, she accidentally transforms when having another spat with Kyo. It is revealed that she is none other than the boar spirit. What an adorable boar! After some encouraging words from our wholesome heroine, Kagura heads home. From here we go through a bit of trouble in paradise. Toru receives a call from her grandfather telling her it was okay for her to move back in with him. She is distraught at the news because she was really enjoying her time at the Soma house. Despite this, she moves back into her grandfather's. Needless to say, her extended family is kinda scum, like they literally suck. While Toru is away, Kyo and Yuki cannot stand her being gone, so they barge over to get her back. Of course with a little shove from Shigure. Toru is saved by the boys, but not before her grandfather tells her she should live freely. While Yuki gathers her things, Kyo talks with Toru, telling her it's okay to be selfish sometimes, especially her. From here we all cry a bit and the gang is once again reunited at Shigure's house. The school festival has finally arrived and Toru's class is a huge success, largely due to Yuki being in a dress. During the festival, 2 new Somas enter the scene, one being Momiji, a young half-German, half-Japanese boy, aka an adorable angel that should be given nothing but love and appreciation. And then we have a cold, stone-faced looker in Hattori, aka Harry. I'm just gonna call him that because it's easier. Chaos arrives when Momiji hugs Toru and transforms into the cutest rabbit in animated history. Toru and everyone is able to make a break for it when Yuki distracts the rest of the class. Harry snaps a picture of Kyo and Yuki for Akito and then departs. Yuki plants some seeds of distress as he warns Toru to not be alone with Harry as he is the one who wipes people's memories. As the festival draws to a close, Toru's 2 best friends Arisa and Hana want to scope out Toru's new place of residence, so they invite themselves over. You guys know Toru at this point, she can't say no. After a long night, her 2 best friends see she is happy living with the Somas. More importantly, we learn of an important storyline that will not be revealed this season with a boy and his hat. This was a key part of Toru's childhood. The next morning, as Arisa and Hana depart, Toru gets a call from no one other than Harry, asking her to come alone to the Soma estate. After making an excuse to everybody, Toru departs to the Soma estate where she is greeted by Momiji and Harry. Here we see a new side to Harry. He tells Toru that she should stop associating with the Somas before she becomes burdened with the curse as well. He leaves the room, leaving Toru and Momiji alone. Here, Momiji reveals Harry's tragic love life that ended in flames because Akito is an asshole. No further details needed. Soon after, Harry escorts Toru back to the entrance of the estate. Unfortunately for him, a misstep causes Toru to fall on top of him, causing him to transform. It is revealed that he is cursed with the dragon spirit, but with a little twist. Instead of being an actual dragon, he's a seahorse, which is a dragon in Asian mythology. Toru's reaction to seeing his true form reminded him of his former lover's reaction, causing a flashback. This in turn causes my heart to ache even more for him. We see how their relationship ended when Akito's violent temper permanently injured Harry's eye. This caused his lover's mentality to be fragmented and broken. Harry, out of love, wiped her memories. As he reminisces his past, his former lover walks past him speaking of her new engagement. This actually makes him smile as he is happy that she found happiness. God, I'm tearing up thinking about it. I want him to be so happy so bad. Moving on, we fast forward to New Year's where everybody is spending time with their loved ones. Everyone except one person, that being Toru. Shigure informs her that him and the other boys will be at the Soma estate for a special banquet. At first, Yuki and Kyo refuse to go for their own personal reasons, but Toru pushes for them to go. They eventually agree, leaving Toru alone once again at the house. On the way to the estate, they run into Hana, who is just too clutch. She makes them realize Toru is hurting when alone at this time, causing Kyo and Yuki to run back to her side. This whole interaction was heartwarming because we see a bond really grow between them all. After some sinisterness from Shigure, we go back to Toru and everyone watching the sunrise for the first time in the new year. Just some wholesome sun watching. As the third term rolls in, Kyo and Yuki are still fighting despite Toru's best effort. During a school long distance run event, Yuki begins to succumb to a cold, which are always super deadly in anime for some reason. During the run, Kyo is tripped by a newly introduced Soma member being Hatsuhara. After some wacky shenanigans between Kyo and Hatsuhara, Yuki collapses from his cold. To aid in carrying Yuki home, Hatsuhara transforms to the rescue. This reveals that he is no one other than the Ox Spirit. Oh, he's so cute. Look at his ears and his hair. Oh, so cute. Carrying on, after getting Yuki back in bed at home, Todo and Hatsuhara talk for a bit. He reveals his past with Yuki and how he used to hate him, but now adores him. Then we get some wholesome scenes that result in Yuki becoming a cute rat once again. What a great scene altogether, honestly. Next up, Kyo begins to have preemptive nightmares about Valentine's Day because he knows what is coming for him. That being Kagura. Ooh. After some arguing from Kyo and Kagura, we see the setup for a double date involving Yuki and Todo. While they work out their issues, Shigure travels to the Soma estate to pass chocolate around Todo made for everybody because she is a ball of goodness that will never go out. More importantly, we get another glimpse of the sinister side to Shigure. He talks with Harry of a dream that he must accomplish no matter who he has to manipulate, even the kind-hearted Todo. This sets up a storyline that will not be explored until way after the end of the first season, unfortunately. It really sucks because this was one of the most interesting things of the story so far. But alas, patience is a virtue, guys. After speaking with Harry, we get a glimpse of what kind of relationship Shigure shares with Akito. He walks in and cradles her, causing many questions to arrive in many fans' minds everywhere. What is going on here, Shigure? Just as the day ends, we get a glimpse of another woman hounding down Shigure. Who could it be? This next part is mainly fluff, but after the end of term test, Momiji invites Todo and the gang on a trip. Mainly to the hot springs owned by the Soma family. Kyo at first did not want to go, but changed his mind after thinking that this could be atonement for not getting Todo a White Day gift. It led to an adorable reaction from Todo and Kyo alike. You really can't help but grin. From here we see Momiji tell a depressing story and see Yuki put on some of the schmooze on Todo. All while foreshadowing the appearance of another zodiac spirit. After this nice relaxing trip, we see that Momiji and Hatsuhara transfer to the school Todo and the others are attending. You know what this means, everybody. Wacky shenanigans incoming! Really though, they are a great addition to our little cast of characters and I wholeheartedly welcome them. We fast forward to the second year where our new gang all meet up in the hallways. So begins some of the funniest moments of the show and I am all in for it. This happiness and joy won't last long as the main antagonist rears their head in the schoolyard, Akito Soma. Todo gets her first real experience with this antagonizing figure that everybody speaks of. They don't seem threatening at first until Yuki enters the scene. We get a real look at the way Akito tears down other Somas mentally. It's an image that really hurts your soul while making you despise this character even more. Todo jumps to Yuki's rescue, pushing Akito away, ending this whole scene. With that, Akito takes their leave, but the damage was already done to Yuki. Todo is able to cheer him up with a good old-fashioned game of badminton with everybody. This is one of those moments where Yuki shines as a character. Truly a fantastic moment all around for him. I'm happy he gets time like this. Whoa, we are actually halfway through the first season. I hope you are keeping up with me. I apologize if this video does end up a bit long, but it's hard to recap every detail in a 25 episode series in a short amount of time. I hope you are enjoying it regardless. From that, let's keep on moving. After a few days since Akito's visit, a new Soma has entered the scene. This one, in an interesting way to say the least. This Soma being none other than the fashionista himself, Ayame Soma. We learn that this is actually Yuki's big brother. One problem though is that they have a very rocky relationship. This is probably due to them being polar opposites. Yuki is polite and proper while Ayame is wild and reckless. It doesn't help that Yuki's childhood involved a lot of self-isolation. Ayame confides in Todo about his troubles and in return she gives him some advice her mother once told her. This encourages him to reach out and try to reconcile this relationship with his little brother. While his efforts don't yield fruit this go around, Ayame will push forward. Yuki, however, acknowledges his brother's efforts at the very least. Alright boys and girls, we are really beginning to get into Pain City in the next coming episodes, so be warned now. Prepare your tissues! After Ayame's visit, we have a scene with Momiji and Todo working together at his father's company building. Momiji's mother is there, but she has no recollection of him, much to Todo's surprise. Momiji reveals his tragic backstory involving his mother. She grew mentally ill after his birth. So ill in fact that she goes to Harry wishing to forget her own child, all while Momiji is observing from the background. It breaks my heart just thinking about it. Momiji is a sweet boy that really deserved better. After learning about his story, Toru weeps and comforts him as any sensible human would. Next up is one of the more depressing moments for me. I'm talking about the 1-year anniversary of Toru's mother's death. Toru lives her life valuing so many of the teachings that her mother passed on to her before passing away. To finally acknowledge her death and face it is tough for me to muster. But Toru and all her friends visit her grave to pay their respects and even have a picnic there. Kyo feels very uneasy during this whole experience, but is never really explained why. This is another key mystery that I really want to dig into, but it's never explained this season. Why was Kyo so on edge today? Who really knows? Later that day, we get a very important moment with both boys. Yuki notices and recognizes the special hat that connects with Toru's childhood, creating a big, oh what the f moment for everybody. All while this happens, Kyo leans in, fooling audiences everywhere thinking he kissed Toru, but in fact he whispered an apology to her. This whole scene left audiences shocked as this was all unexplained. Hopefully these questions will be answered because I am still shocked by this occurrence even now. I need answers. A new day brings a new adventure to Toru and everybody as Shigure brings them to the Soma Lake House. This trip was not actually meant for them, but in fact for Harry, who accompanied them on this trip. While Toru and the boys are off doing teenage things, Shigure brings up real drama. He wants Harry to move on from his former lover. Ayame crashes this little shindig, claiming that he shouldn't have to shoulder this pain alone. This makes my heart rest a bit easy for Harry as he is surrounded by people that truly care for him. As the trio of boys argue and bicker, Harry comes to a realization that he should move on. I am so happy for him, he deserves a happy ending. But with that, this closes Hotori and Ayame's story for the first season. Up next, we are going to get into the backstory of Arisa and later on Hana, Toru's two best friends. While I won't dig deep into the detail about the backstories, I will explain how this occurs. I mainly won't be getting into it because I don't deem it that important to the overall story for the first season. I have to say though that if you have time, these backstories are fantastic and I highly recommend you check them out. Arisa's story makes you really fall in love with Toru's mother Kyoko even harder. It all begins when Toru and the gang are spending some quality time at the school pool. Noticing that Toru lacks a proper swimsuit besides the school regulated one, the gang goes to the mall to buy her a new one. While shopping, a little gang of delinquents spot and recognize Arisa and decide to follow her. After seeing the little delinquents, Arisa looks back on her own delinquent days and her time with Toru and Kyoko. This backstory is powerful to flesh out Kyoko more as a character. These are first-hand experiences of her story and the way she was. But not only that, we also get another first-hand experience of how Arisa grew from her past life and becomes this new flower standing proudly in the sun. After this little backstory, Arisa gives a great speech to these stalking delinquents. After Arisa's little arc, we get an introduction to a slew of new Soma members. It all begins when Hatsuhara stumbles upon an exhausted tiger hidden in the bushes. He stumbles into Yuki and Toru, which prompts them to bring this tiger to Shigure's home. We learn that this tiger is another cursed Soma member, being Kisa Soma. She is a quiet, shy girl whose smile must be protected at all costs. No harm must come upon this gentle face. Carrying on, Hatsuhara reveals that bullying has greatly affected her life. It caused her to run away from home and even pushed her to lose her voice. This situation causes Yuki great stress as he relates with his own earlier sufferings. Ashamed at her secrets being revealed, Kisa runs away. Toru runs after her to try to help. She finds Kisa behind the house and tells her of her own experiences with bullying. Kisa is so moved by finding someone that relates to her situation that she transforms back into her human form and begins to embrace Toru, shedding many tears. To allow Kisa and her family to heal, she stays with Shigure for a bit. While Kisa is there, she is almost inseparable from Toru. After discussing with other Soma members of the school about Kisa's situation, Hatsuhara confronts her. He tells her that she must find the good in herself to recover and move forward. Yuki is nearby to quickly disagree though. He says that when another person accepts them for who they are, that they are able to move forward. Kisa breaks her long silence and agrees with Yuki. This sets aflame a resolve to be better. Seeing this, Yuki joins her and resolves to move forward as well. Kisa does so by going back to school, and Yuki does so by accepting his new position as the new student council president. We love seeing progress. Yes! Continuing on with the onslaught of new Soma members, we have a mysterious figure cladded in a beautiful kimono at Shigode's house. We find out through Toru that this person is no one other than Ritsu Soma. Just like his mother who runs the hot springs, he is a bit crazy. He apologizes whenever anything goes wrong. Anything. Shigode attempts to give him some confidence training, but it fails miserably. The end result is him transforming and revealing his zodiac form, the monkey! Much to Toru's surprise, he is a male and not a female. Soon after this, Shigode's editor, Mitsuru, arrives on the scene to get a new manuscript from him. Ritsu is driven to near suicide after ruining the prized manuscript that Mitsuru was after. Toru is there to stop him thankfully and gives him an encouraging speech. This speech is able to break through and give him a bit of courage. Soon after, Ritsu apologizes to Mitsuru for ruining a bit of the manuscript and they talk for a bit. They realize they have more in common than they realized. This is how Ritsu and Mitsuru's beautiful friendship will begin. But that also closes their story for the first season. From here we see that Kisa began to spend a lot more time with Toru ever since her incident. This attracts the jealousy of a young boy named Hiro, another Zodiac member. He meets up with Toru and is a total ass to her. It's infuriating. I really hated this kid at first, not gonna lie to you guys. After a back and forth between Hiro and Toru, they make up. His punishment for being a bully to her is a hug from Toru. This causes him to transform, revealing he is no one other than the sheep. Aww, he may be an annoying little brat, but at least he's a very cute sheep. He begins to spend time with Toru and Kisa when they are together. This ends up with them going to the park. Here, Hiro reveals that Kisa was physically harmed by Akito after he confessed that he loved her. God, this makes me dislike Akito even more. He already injured Harry, a grown man, but Kisa is just a child. The show highlights how bad it was by showing Kisa in bandages at the hospital. It's heartbreaking. After this incident, Hiro ignores Kisa to prevent any further harm. Instead of helping though, it makes Kisa feel even worse. Hiro feels helpless and angry at himself for his inability to do anything for the one he loves. Toru encourages him though to keep on trying to become that prince that will be there for her. Hiro realizes what makes Toru so special and lightens up to her. From here, the trio enjoys some well-deserved ice cream. And that closes the book on Hiro and Kisa's story for the first season. Before we get into the final arc of the first season, we have to get into the backstory of Toru's other best friend, Hana. It's kind of strange in my opinion that this was placed after Kisa and Hiro's story arc instead of right after Arisa's, but what do I know, I'm just a guy on the internet. Just like Arisa's background, I won't get into detail about it because it isn't really relevant to the story, at least for the first season. I will, however, skim over it. Once again, go watch these backstories if you have time. Hana is a freaking badass, so it's worth it. The way Hana's backstory begins is when the Yuki fan club wanted to find a weakness from the demon Hana. They visit her home to learn more about her and find some way to quote-unquote defeat her. After the wacky shenanigans with everyone, the story begins to tell the backstory of Hana. When Hana was a little girl, she never really had a grasp over her powers, and because of this, she was bullied in elementary school. Man, I'm telling you, kids are freaking brutal. First it was Kisa, now it's Hana? Jesus! Once during these bullying episodes, a child fell unconscious, creating more pain for Hana. She became the center for everybody's worry and fear. After it got even worse, her parents transferred Hana to a new school. This will be her first encounter with Toru and Arisa. Little did she know this would change her life. This little adorable trio grew extremely close. Trouble arose when girls confronted her about her past at her last school though. This caused Hana much grief because she was afraid once her new friends learned about her past, they would abandon her. But we know Toru isn't like that. They all have a wonderful heartfelt conversation that moved me pretty hard. This really reaffirmed her friendship to Toru and Arisa. This led her down the right path to where she is now. She's a badass little goth queen and I love her dearly. From these two backstories, we can see how Toru and Kyoko affected the people around them. For Arisa, it's how Kyoko impacted her life and moved her in the right direction. On the other hand, we have Toru able to put Hana on the right path because of her impact in her life. These two backstories are powerful reasons to love Kyoko and Toru even more. That is something I really appreciate from all that. But let's move on to the final arc of the first season. It centers around no one other than our angry tsundere, Kyo-soma. To start off this arc, we have Toru failing her final exam. Everybody is relatively calm about this because she has supplementary classes to help her get rid of this failing grade, but Toru was a wreck. She feels like a failure because of this grade. When walking home with Kyo, Toru passes out from a mixture of stress and a fever that she had caught. After getting her into bed, Shigure calls in for her while our tsundere is hard at work cooking. Kyo prepares the meal to make Toru better. Aw, this is absolutely adorable. He gives it to her much to Toru's delight. From here, Toru opens up about why this failed exam is getting to her so much. Kyo helps bring her from this dark place and reaffirms that everything will be okay. She smiles a very warm smile, and that melts the coldest of hearts everywhere. After this, many others come to Toru's aid because they were worried sick about her. Fast forward a bit, we have Toru walking home with everyone after passing her supplementary exams. While walking, Kyo meets up with Kaguta accidentally. To no avail, Kyo tries to escape, but they eventually go on a quote-unquote date where an old topic comes up once again. That being Kyo's true form. This was brought up in Kaguta's first appearance and is finally coming to the forefront of the story. When the two return back to Shigure's home, a new face is seen at the door. Kyo is delighted to welcome his adoptive father, Kazuma Soma, at the door. This relationship between these two really warmed my heart because I really value my father very much, so this kind of reminded me of it, minus the karate master part. Kazuma and Kyo are able to catch up for a bit until Kyo finally brings up the promise Kazuma made to him earlier, that Kyo would be able to return to the dojo and live with him again versus Shigure. Kazuma, however, turns Kyo down and breaks his promise because he feels that Kyo is better off living with Shigure. He believes that Toru's positive influence is doing him a lot of good. Kyo obviously feels otherwise and denounces his relationship with anyone in the house. Kazuma leaves Kyo to his own devices to tell Shigure his plan to confront Kyo and expose his true form, believing that Toru will be able to save him from his pain. Night arrives and Kyo and Kazuma stand face to face outside. Everyone else is watching, but their eyes are averted from the sight that will come. Everybody except Toru. She watches onward as Kazuma takes off the beads that kept Kyo from transforming into his true form. Kyo screams at her, telling her to look away, but it's too late. Kyo is scared that Toru is as disgusted at his true form like the others, so he runs away into the forest. Instead of running away, Toru dashes after him. It's tough for her to stomach what she saw, but she perseveres and trudges on. This really digs deep into her character and how much she will go through for the ones she loves. She catches up to Kyo and gets a really good look at this new form. At first she is disgusted, but she throws that feeling away and latches onto him. In a rage, he tosses her violently, throwing her away from him. Despite being injured from the impact, she stands up and charges in once again. She tells him that she will never leave his side no matter what. This reminds Kyo of the same words that his mother told him as a child. The only difference is that she left him. She left him alone in this world when he wanted her to be there. He transforms back into his regular form with tears in his eyes. He tells her that all he wanted was for someone to embrace this form and work with him towards fixing it. He was tired of people telling him it was okay because it wasn't. He looks at this bloodied, beaten Toru and embraces her. They share a heartwarming scene before the curse takes effect and turns Kyo back into a cat. This was truly the most emotional arc in the whole series because it dives deep into Kyo and Toru. Throughout the series, Kyo's pain was never shown or talked about, unlike Yuki's. This was our first glimpse at his world and his suffering. Toru is able to show how much she cares for the ones around her. She is able to show a bit of that loyalty, to go as far as embrace this true form of Kyo's. It is a scene that is so easily able to move me and so many others. Toru comes back to Shigure's house as the sun rises. She embraces Kyo in his cat form as the sun shines on her. And this concludes the final arc of Season 1. What a way to end Season 1 with a bang, I'd have to say. Seeing Toru's relationship with everybody grow and bloom was so nice to see. I'm glad we got to know more about Momiji and everybody else. Fleshing out characters is never a bad thing. Overall, I really enjoyed rewatching the first season to make this video. It was a really fun rewatch. but it has made me even more anxious for the second season to come. Only a few more days! But yeah, if you watched all the way through this recap, I'm eternally thankful for you. I know how long this video is going to be, but I hope you enjoyed it regardless. With that, this is everything you need to know for Season 2. You should be super caught up to speed. I hope we can all look forward to Season 2 in a couple of days. I'm BriThi signing off. Sayonara, my friends. I love you guys so much. Bye.